Hi, welcome to the overview for the fall of 2020 in Google Classroom. As you can see here, I'm already logged into my classroom. For those of you who don't know, the address is classroom@google.com. And it will bring you to this page, which is your class page. It lists all the classes that you belong in. And on this page, we have a few icons, which are kind of important. There's a to-do list, review, and calendar. The to-do list is referencing classes you're enrolled in, not classes you're teaching. The review list is a list of all the assignments that you have to grade and review. When you click on that, it brings you to the review page, and you can sort these assignments by class. So you can see I'm in a lot of classes here, but I'll choose the sample classroom and it will minimize and show me just the assignments that need to be graded. It'll also show me when work is turned in, how many people were assigned, and how many have been graded. And all these are links directly to the work. So let's go back to our class page. Also on this page, we have a calendar, and this is a calendar of all the work and all the classes that's due. So if you were teaching 3 different sections of a class, you can see all the assignments and when they're due. Sometimes it's helpful to see, wow, I got a lot of grading coming up on Friday. Maybe I'll move that test or that quiz or assignment till next week. And on here, we can also add a new class by clicking the plus button, and that will create a class. It will launch when we hit create a class. It will launch a SIS notification, which stands for Student Information Systems. And that is supposed to pull your students in. I was just told it's September 1st that it's not operational yet, but they're hoping to have it ready soon. This button up here is your menu button, and when you click on it, you can see, again, your calendar to review and all the classes you're in. I'm in here because I want to show you the hidden feature of turning off the emails. As you come in here, scroll all the way down to settings, and this is where you can turn on and off the different settings for emails. When it's student late work, it's turned in, or when a student submits something or comments mention you, or student, if you have comments turned on, you can decide where you get those. The downfall here is you have to use all these settings on any class that you receive emails from. But there might be some classes you don't want to receive those emails, and you can turn those off here. So you could definitely reduce the amount of email you get. Return to the class page, and this is a sample class that I've created for the parent university. But on here, each one of your classes, you have your gradebook, another shortcut to your gradebook. And when you click on that, it launches directly into gradebook. You see all your students. These are all links to the assignments. You can edit the assignment. You can return all the assignments. You can click in here and type a grade in and override a grade. You can come in here and return work if a student has submitted something like, let's see if I can find, I'm not happy with the 95. I don't know why that's true, but I could return that to the student. It's very helpful for submission, edits, resubmissions, working with drafts, get kids moving in and out. And then we have all the assignments listed across here. Okay, let's go back. Then we also have the class folder. I want to note here, it's kind of important. This class folder goes to your Google Drive, and you probably want to notice that all inside of Classroom, all the classes you belong to are in here. When you create an assignment and make a copy for a student, it lands in these folders. It doesn't land in your drive. So if you've attached a file, it references from the drive. It makes a copy of stuff, and when students submit work, it's all in here. A lot of teachers ask me, where did the work go? I can't see it. This is where it's hidden. So I caution you to deleting any of these folders or moving things around, because Google Classroom links directly to all these folders. When you click in here, you'll see that there are assignments. So there's an Algebra 1 review here, and there are some videos that were put up. So that's your Drive folder. Now, let's go ahead and go into a class. Once we go into the class, on the main page here, you might see a few new updates. You do have the class join code, so you can quickly click this button and kids could just type in that join code and join the class. You can also just copy it and email it to a teacher or a student. Down here in the upcoming, this is what's due. This is what's due for me, and for students, they will see what's due for your class right here on the main page. This is the stream page. Right here, there are some announcements. This was a common mistake last year by teachers posting everything into the stream. The stream is like social media. And the kids said to me, I don't want my classwork in social media, which is a great point. The stream is the walls of your classroom. When you put a poster up on your wall that's relevant to the kids' learning, great, but it probably doesn't belong inside their classwork. So the stream is where we put announcements. You can put things about field trips. You can say, hey, don't forget to bring your Chromebooks charged, or don't forget to bring this project because you're working on a group project. That's where the announcements go. Think of it as an announcements page. All the work will go into the classwork page. And I'll point out right now how to change this setting, because by default, they set it so everything goes into that stream. And some of you remember from last year, it was like infinite scroll, and the kids would say, I can't find it. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. I couldn't find the assignment. So I'm advising you not to put assignments in the stream, just put them in classwork, and then the kids will know where the classwork is versus announcements. So in here, if you look at the stream, you got classwork in the stream. There's hide notifications. You can have them there condensed, but again, I would tell you to put them in classwork and leave them right there. Then kids aren't looking so hard for the work. I would adjust that to hide notifications. By default, I don't know why they do this. It's set to attachments and details, and it just overfills the stream. While I'm also here, this is where you shut off the Google Meet icon, classroom code. So if you want that link there, you can turn that off. Now, the classwork. This is the main body. Most teachers will ask me, why can't you set it so that when I log in, they go right to classwork? Well, that's because when you go through the door of a classroom, the first thing you do, you don't slam a kid with a notebook or a workbook. You welcome the kid. You say, hey, good morning. And the kid looks around the room, sees the stuff, maybe some notes you've written on the board. That is the stream page. The classwork page, you can think of it as the textbook, the test, the quizzes, and the notebook, and the worksheets, or all that stuff you're doing. That goes in the classwork. The district wants you to organize this section in one of two ways. Chronologically, by week, as you can see here, it's listed, there's a resources at the top, and then it's by week. This is very easy for kids to find. If they know the assignment was assigned on September 29th, they know the assignment's going to be located inside this week. The other option is, I will create a topic and show, is to create it by unit and say unit 5. That topic is very easy to find. So when you communicate with a parent, communicate with a student, you say unit 5, they can find that in the kid's classroom. If you have something like photosynthesis, now if the parent doesn't know how to spell photosynthesis, you got a problem. They're not going to be able to find that unit, and the kid may not be able to find that unit. So one of those two ways, either by week or by unit with a number, so that way it's easy to find. On the left-hand side here is your topics. You can rearrange these topics and move them around by moving them here. We'll drag and drop, and that will rearrange these. So the topics can be moved around, and so can the items inside the topic. In this case, it's materials. This is great because when the kids come into your class, you say, all right, kids, it's September 29th. Click on the week of September 29th, and they see all that week's work. They don't see anything else. So that is very helpful. And you could have another topic here for attendance. If you're doing a remote learning academy and you want them to at least click a button saying they're there every day, I would just do an attendance field and put it right in there, attendance topic. All right, and click the top, and it goes back to show all topics. Another secret here, a lot of teachers are unaware of, is the calendar. And I am showing this in the Parent University. When you click on the calendar, it brings you to calendar for the class and what's due. Now, I would suggest you turn off your private stuff here. And I'm going to leave the sample classroom on. I'll turn off these two. So I'm just now looking at that class calendar, and I'm seeing a day. So if I can go to the week, there's nothing to do this week. I go to the month, we can start to see what's due. And I probably don't want 2 assignments due on the same night. Maybe I should make that adjustment. Very helpful for teachers. And when you have a parent who wants to know what's due and what does the work look like, the easiest way to do that is to go to schedule, and you will get a schedule of everything you've assigned in that class. And that's all the projects. The only thing it doesn't put in here is materials. So if you have like a textbook or links to website and it's a material, it's this little box with a bookmark on there, that does not appear on the calendar. The calendar only has items that are assignments, something that could be possibly graded. Now, also in here before we leave, we do have another link to the Google Meet. This is on purpose so students are not digging around looking for the Meet icon. It's on every single page. Again, this goes to Class Drive folder. For the students, when they click on this, it goes to the folder for everything they've created inside your classroom. So you can tell them, just go to Classroom and click on the class folder. Your work's going to be located there. The Create button, we have a few choices. There's assignment. If you have Kami installed, you'll have a Kami assignment. Quizzes, questions, materials, reuse, post, and of course the topics, so you can create your topics. Again, all of these are on short videos on the previous page or linked right up above here. And inside of assignment, I want to point out that there are some great features in here can be used for a lot of different reasons. You have your title, you have your instructions, and your ad. Here you can pull in from Google Drive, your links and files and YouTube. My suggestion is not to fill this up with dozens and dozens of links, but rather create a Google Doc, we call it in the business a hyperdoc, with step-by-step instructions of what the kids should do for that day, and give that to the kids as a link. Because some of you will remember when you put in here maybe a website you built, rather than saying the name of the website at the bottom, it said sign in with Google, and that confused kids. So I would use a document and attach the document and put very brief instructions in here. Over here, I want you to be aware that you can assign this to multiple classes. So you can create one assignment and attach it to multiple. You can also assign this to specific students. So in this case, there's only 2 students in this class, but let's say student number 2 has an IEP and they have modified work, or they're an ELL student and they need the text translated. So if you can get the assignment up early and you have an ELL teacher or a special ed teacher as a co-teacher in your class, you can uncheck that student. All the other students remain selected. Assign the work, let that teacher know, and they can make a copy of your assignment, modify it, and assign it to that one student. And in the class, everybody thinks they have the same assignment. The student with the IEP gets the modified assignment, the rest of the students get the other. That's very helpful in test. You have a grading category. Categories can be set up in the settings, and then your point scale, and you can also do ungraded assignments. Do not have to be graded. So it could be just an expectation you need them to do it. That could be something like handing in a permission slip. That's an assignment. So you want them to do it, but you're not going to change their grade for that. The due date. When you select a date, it'll give you the calendar. And by default, when you do this, and the time is optional, if you do that on the calendar page, let's see if we can find one here. We'll go to week, and maybe we'll jump forward a couple days here. On the assignment page, if you leave this without a time, on the calendar, it will appear here at the top. And see, there's links to the instructions and to the materials. The kids click on that, it goes right to the materials. So encourage kids to use their calendar. If you do put a time in here, please note that Google, by default, puts in 11:59 p.m. That's great. If students have Google Classroom installed in their phones with notifications, they're going to get a ding at 11:59 p.m. So do them a favor and make sure you change this time. And I also suggest not changing that time to 5 minutes before your class, because you don't want students sitting in another class and all of a sudden 50 phones are going off or Chromebooks are going off because everybody's got the reminders set for 5 minutes before class. So I would change that to something like 5 minutes before school or 10 minutes before school starts. And then you can assign that to a topic. If you'd like to attach a rubric, you can click here and there is a rubric script, a video on a previous page. You could watch that and go into all those details. And also the check plagiarism. I want to note that when you check plagiarism, the students have the ability to check their own document before they submit it. So you can have that educational moment where you say, please double check your work and make sure you're not plagiarizing. There's a button there for it. Please run that before you submit it. And here you can assign it or you can schedule it at any time. Saving to draft is really good if you're working with special ed and ELL to allow those teachers time to get in and edit or modify that work for specific students. On the create page, most teachers are completely unaware there's a reuse post button. And when you reuse a post, you can choose any post that you did in any class that you are enrolled as a teacher. So if you enroll yourself in a peers class, let's say 3 of you are teaching geometry and all of you have 2 preps, you could build one classroom together and all of you could pull the material out and work together and do a third of the amount of planning. That's super helpful. But you can go into a class and choose an assignment and then reuse, and it will come right in. It's going to copy all the attachments with it and see, now I just put in the date and grade that I want and the topic, and it's good to go. That assignment that I built for another class is ready. Now let's go back to people. You may have noticed that in the classwork or in the stream page, there is comments here. In this case, it's a class comment, so the whole class can see it. If you turn that on, that is located in the settings tab. You scroll down to comments, and in the stream, students can only comment or students can post and comment. Posting and commenting is very helpful because students could ask a question to the class, but you may want to use that with a little sensitivity. As the numbers get bigger and the age levels vary, that can be a little bit dangerous. Some teachers just choose to shut these off. I encourage you to use students can only comment, particularly if you're unsure. Because if you post something and let's say, don't forget, we're going on a field trip on Friday, a student might post, I thought that field trip was on Thursday. Now you know that the students have some misinformation. Or in the classwork page, it could be the same thing. You posted something and students are confused. They can make a comment. So if I go to this student's work, this is already turned in here. Okay. So I'm looking at a sample, just a made up thing for student work. This is a link directly to the student's work if I want to look at it. Here I can grade. I scroll down here. I have comments. Mode is something I'm actually encouraging teachers to install. I'm asking the district to buy it. I just sent an email. I'll let everybody know, and I'll maybe put an amendment on this video if they buy it for us, but it allows you to just click this button and leave audio comments for kids. But if you notice here, it says private comment. It's kind of hard to see. It's in gray. Private comment only goes to the student, so it's like a text message back and forth, so you can have those comments with the student without the whole class knowing. So all of those are in the settings tab, and you can turn that on and off, whether or not students can comment. I encourage you to leave on students can only comment. That's a great place to start. Now, let's say in here in a class comment, a student says something completely inappropriate, and maybe they didn't say good afternoon. I would encourage you, if a student, let's say they didn't say good afternoon, they said something very naughty. One, you can go right in here and delete the comment, and you can mute the student. So now that student can't comment anymore. But if there's multiple students, you can also go in and select multiple students under the People tab, Actions, and mute them. And now those students can't comment anymore. This is also in the People's tab is where you will add your co-teachers if you want to invite those teachers. This is where you can add students manually, and you can email your guardians. Now, the question I get a lot about emailing guardians is guardian summaries, and a lot of teachers think they get links to all that material. They don't. If you go to settings, that gear, and you click on guardian summaries, see example, it's kind of hidden in here. This explains. But if you did this drop down here, you'll see there's all the guardian summaries. So this is just late work from this class. This is what's due next week. There are no active links in here for parents to click on. It only gives you the title in the instructions. It doesn't give you all the attached work, so the parents don't see that stuff. The kids need to give that to the parents, and this is where they can change their email settings and unsubscribe. And you can turn that feature on and off right here. Now, let's go back to grades. And finally, we can go to grades, and in the grades here, again, we can override. It's another link, so there's multiple ways of getting to grades. There's a link to all your assignments. You can override grades. And sometimes you'll see the class average. It will be here, and other screens, sometimes it pops up here. But you can also sort your students here. And I do want to point out, I only have 2 students, so it might be a little hard to show this. Maybe if I go back. And did I do one that has 2 of them turned in? No, I didn't. And that's too bad. So when you're going to score a student's assignment and you make comments over here, you can also bring in canned comments. And canned comments are things that are preloaded. So you can copy those to the clipboard and then paste those right into the document. So you don't have to rewrite these comments. You could have these pre-built, and these are also helpful if you have a web link you want to put in there. But on the top here, these arrows allow you to navigate to the next student, navigate to the next student, navigate to the next student. So you can score pretty quick. So that is the brief overview. That's covered majority of the concepts here. The rest you could find on the other page. And it's all broken down. Why don't I actually just show that page while I'm right here at the end of this video. And the link will be right here on this page. And this is a Google Classroom. This Google Classroom page is set up for students and for parents. This is all videos and presentations just designed for parents. It's got nothing to do with what the student does. That's on the student page. So it's about security and about how to use Google Meet and the accessibility features. And back on the staff page, you will see here's all the information for staff. It's all broken down for you. There's a basic overview. I added this video because there's lots of questions about parent communication. Again, your tutorials are all broken down. How do I add class materials? It's only a 1 or 2 minute video. You can feel free to peruse those as you wish and decide which ones you need to see. And sometimes it's helpful just to go back and look at those because you forgot that step. And here is a Google Classroom cheat sheet that's also linked on this page. I've created this. If there's an error, if somebody sees something, please email me and let me know. I'd love to fix that. But this is a Google slide that is full of links with very specific instructions on how to do each aspect of Google Classroom. So create an assignment. You go right to create an assignment, and it has the step-by-step arrows. This one has a continue page, but the green button is a return to the index. So for creating an assignment, there's 2 pages. I hit index, and I go right back to the start. So this is a fast way of getting around and finding very specific, how do I filter my topics again? There you go. So hopefully this is helpful. If anyone finds this confusing or if they find an error, please do let me know. And I'll try to get in there and fix it right away. Once you've done with this, if you feel comfortable with Google Classroom, go ahead and try that assessment down below. Once again, once you finish that assessment, if you got a score of above a 90, then you will get a certificate emailed to you. If you do not, I'm asking you to go back and look at the questions you got wrong and try to retake the test again.